There's a sound I'll never forget, the sharp metallic clang of a crowbar bouncing uselessly off 3 inches of bulletproof steel echoing across my front yard as my HOA president tried to break into my own house right in front of the whole neighborhood and a TV news crew. That's when I realized some battles you don't choose, but you damn well finish. It's wild thinking back now how a navy blue mailbox, just a mailbox, set off a chain of events that ended with a block party and someone in handcuffs. But that's how it started, and that's how I found out just how far people will go when they think they hold all the power. 2 weeks before all hell broke loose, I'd buried my dad. Full military honors, the whole 9 yards. I came home rain-soaked, clutching his folded flag, just wanting to collapse and breathe for the first time in days. Instead, my house key didn't work. No warning, no explanation. Just the cold realization that someone had changed my locks while I was laying my father to rest. Standing there at 3 a.m, soaked to the bone, locked out of my own home, I felt more like a trespasser than a son. Ended up sleeping in my truck, hugging that flag. That night, everything changed. See, grief had made me compliant, just pay the fines, nod, at the rules, keep the peace. But humiliation, that lights a fire nothing can put out. Let me set the scene. I'm Sebastian Cecilia Rodriguez, 45, federal structural engineer. My whole career I've designed buildings meant to survive hurricanes, earthquakes, even terrorist attacks. I don't play games. I follow the specs, read every clause, and I don't scare easy. But I'd never gone up against an enemy like Delilah Thornwick, HOA president, real estate predator, and self-appointed queen of Riverside Meadows. For 6 months, I'd lived quietly in Dad's old ranch house. Smelled like Old Spice and coffee photos of Frank's Navy days everywhere, and that damn navy blue mailbox painted to match his service colors standing out like a stubborn salute in a sea of desert tan. Delilah saw things differently. She ran the HOA like a fiefdom backed by her nervous sidekick Brad and a board of rubber stamps. She started small petty fines for grass clippings, trash cans out of place, and oil spot from my truck. Each notice nastier than the last. I paid them too tired to fight. Then the mailbox ultimatum landed: repaint to tan or sage green or else. Certified letter, no wiggle room. I called Delilah, tried to explain about my father, about tradition, about loss. She didn't care. Rules are rules, she said, mangling my name like she got paid for every syllable she butchered. 10 days to comply or escalating fines. I asked for time. Death doesn't excuse property violations. That was the end of the conversation. I buried my father. Perfect service. Veterans in dress blues, the flag folded sharp and tight, bugle echoing over Pennsylvania hills. I came back to Arizona running on fumes. First thing I see when I get home, new locks. Different metal, not a scratch on them. My key dead in my hand. I called Robert, my plumber neighbor, and crashed on his couch like some washed-up guest star in my own life. By morning, my sadness was gone, replaced by a cold, steady fury. I spent breakfast with Arizona property law. 20 minutes with the locksmith revealed Delilah had ordered an emergency security change, citing vague threats she never had to prove. She billed the whole thing to the HOA. That's when I knew she'd crossed a line. Using community money to lock me out wasn't just petty, it was embezzlement. So I went digging county records, HOA, bylaws, everything. Buried on page 23, section 4.7, features installed before 1990, are grandfathered, exempt from modification. Dad's mailbox went up in 87. Legally, it was untouchable. Every fine, every threat worthless. Armed with facts, I walked into Delilah's real estate office, papers in hand. She barely glanced up. I laid out the evidence, the locksmith invoice, the original HOA charter, everything. "You can't record me," she snapped when I started documenting our conversation. "One-party state," I said, calm as a lake in winter. She had nothing, no amendments, no votes, no legal ground to stand on. She wrote a check for the locksmith and watched her confidence start to crack. But that was just the beginning. The real twist came when Janet Morrison called me, retired teacher, recent widow, 73, and sharper than any lawyer I've met. Over coffee that tasted like justice, she told me how Delilah harassed her after her husband died, 18 months of fines, threats, and fear, until Janet finally caved and sold her corner lot cheap. Turns out Delilah made a habit of preying on the vulnerable, death divorce layoffs. 6 neighbors Janet knew, all corner lots, all bought up by Thornwick Real Estate. I mapped it all out. Patterns everywhere, spikes in emergency HOA expenses, Consulting fees funneled to Delilah's company panic sales every quarter. Suburban warfare engineered for profit. So I decided to fight back with engineering, not arguments. I bought the meanest, strongest front door on the market, a custom vault, 3 inches of composite steel titanium bolts, biometric locks. Legal in every way, permits in hand. $22,000 worth of Try Me. My own brand of psychological warfare. Saturday morning, the installation became an event. Neighbors brought folding chairs and snacks. Janet arrived with coffee cake and her golden retriever. Delilah showed up in her white Lexus, 2 cronies in tow, waving last-minute paperwork. Claimed the HOA had voted to stop all exterior modifications, but the real board members this time were right there calling her bluff. No meeting, no vote, no dice. Then came the climax. Delilah tried to make it a media spectacle, her own fake camera crew trying to turn the story. Too bad the real Channel 12 van arrived at the same time, tipped off by me the night before. And just as the cameras started rolling, Detective Morrison from Phoenix PD showed up, asking about a break-in at my contractor's warehouse, a break-in traced to Delilah's white Lexus, which she'd driven straight to my house that morning. With everyone watching, Delilah went off the rails. She grabbed her keys and tried to scratch my vault door, shrieking about selfish homeowners and destroying the community. All she got was bent keys and a police escort to the back of a squad car. When the smoke cleared, the evidence spoke for itself. Fake violations, embezzled funds, forged complaints, burner phones full of threats. Even Brad, her loyal sidekick, handed over years of records to save his own skin. By noon, the street had turned festive. Block party burgers on the grill, neighbors trading stories they'd been too afraid to share. Janet raised a cup and toasted to Sebastian, who built a door nobody could tear down and let the bullies defeat themselves. Delilah's empire gone. Federal prison for fraud and embezzlement. Her real estate assets liquidated, the money returned to every family she'd swindled. My dad's navy blue mailbox still stands brighter than ever. Janet is now HOA president, and the first rule: transparency and no more games. Property values shot up not because of fear, but because people finally felt safe again. Funny thing, I never set out to be a hero. I just wanted to honor my dad and sleep in my own bed. But sometimes the best defense is building something so strong, so well documented, that when they come for you, they end up exposing themselves. That vault door wasn't just security. It was a message: my home is my home, and I'll defend it the way I was raised to. 6 months later, our community had changed. Mrs. Cecilia's granddaughter was practicing her STEM presentation about my vault door for the Frank Rodriguez Memorial Scholarship, funded by restitution from Delilah's downfall. Neighbors talked openly, watched out for each other, even started a garden in honor of my dad. My story inspired other homeowners to stand up for themselves, and the media called it the vault door law. Turns out when you shine a light on bullies, sometimes all they can do is run for cover. You know, looking back, the biggest lesson isn't about doors or mailboxes or even laws. It's about dignity, how you protect it, and what you do when someone tries to take it away. I could have painted the mailbox, paid the fines, moved like everyone else. Instead, I documented everything, fought smart, and remembered that an HOA president is just a neighbor with a clipboard, not a king. So I'll leave you with this. What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever seen power abused in your own neighborhood? Got a petty violation or a wild HOA story? Share it below. I want to hear how you handled it and what justice looks like where you live. And hey, don't forget, your home is your castle. Make sure they know it.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video của mình.